When I started news reporting in Felixstowe in around 2004, Felixstowe Futures was a kind of shadowy organisation. It was very much in the shadow of the Haven Partnership, who seemed at that point to, I guess the word is, owned it. And in fact, you couldn't get much information about what Felixstowe Futures thought, did, or anything much about it. It was the kind of organisation that gets Quangos a bad name. These days, the doors and the windows seem to be much more open. They talk to people in the town, and I think Felixstowe Futures has actually got some achievements under its belt and has now become the kind of organisation a small town like ours needs on our side. I spoke to Joseph James, the programme manager, at an event they had at the Triangle today.
Since I've been on board, one of our goals is to actually communicate with the people, and we know that's difficult. We put things on websites, we can do email addresses, but that's not easy for all people to access.
Right.
And over the last couple of years, this is our second forum. We had one September, October time last year in the town hall, which was very well attended. So this is a follow-up, so we come into the town centre, so we'll get a much different group, people who are passing by, to drop in, and we can tell them about some of the things we're doing, but also get feedback for what they think we should be doing. One of the problems is with Felixstowe Futures is that we have very limited resources and no cash. So when you say just do the whole of the seafront on Felixstowe, we can't. But we can take steps towards that, and that's my role, is to make the best of our opportunities and get that partnership working together. So we've got stuff going on in the library. We have a new events coordinator appointed by the team, so he's helping now promote the events that happen in Felixstowe, and that was a big step forward, because there's a lot happen here, but it's not all joined up and it's not all coordinated. So Stephen is here today to help promote that. And we've just relaunched the Visit Felixstowe website with the Chamber of Commerce. Now sort of died a few years back because it didn't really have enough input. The difficulty about websites is keeping them up to date and keeping the information live and interesting. So we've revamped that, and at the moment we're starting off with just what's going on in Felixstowe and events. But over the next sort of 6 months, we're expanding that to help businesses in particular, where to eat, where to shop, where to stay, and then beyond that, business directory. So it becomes more about what you can do in Felixstowe, why to come here, and what you can do when you're here. So all these things are going on, as well as our main task of trying to sort of regenerate certainly the seafront area and the boating lake area, which we know is a priority. And from the last forum, there were 4 things came out, and we're sort of feeding back on those, what we've done. One was helping with events. We've appointed events coordinator, so there's tick. We are progressing. Second is the sort of the boating lake area, and we have a real opportunity there now because of the planning application have gone in from Pier Amusements Felixstowe Limited for the pier. So we're working with them. What can we do around that area, the public realm area? So there's some information on that here today of what their proposals are and what we can look at around the boating lake area, around the leisure centre. There was a question about cycling on the prom, which we are starting that process, but realise that is a minefield of legal and ownership issues and that. But we're now, one of our prime issues is whenever a development comes along, it incorporates a cycling path. So the Bloors development down at South Leafront has a dedicated cycle path through it. So anything we do around the boating lake, we will again put a cycle path through that. And where we can, we will join them all up together. So again, that's the priority that we're trying to work with. And the last one was about the new Tesco's development, which the planning application is not in for that yet, and that's slightly outside Felixstowe Futures realm of our interest. But obviously we can take people's views and pass them on to the relevant people within the District Council. So today is about meeting people. I mean, it's a fantastic start already. The sun is out. And we learn a lot from just talking to people of what we're not doing and what we could do. And then they were like, oh, you are doing that. I didn't realise that. And it just helps that whole thing get much better.
So we've more or less covered the things that are coming up in hopefully in the fairly near future, haven't we? The Bloor thing has started.
Yeah.
The pier is starting to look as if it could possibly be a go and could get underway in the next year or two, or 3 or 4.
Yes, yeah.
What's in the background at the moment that you're looking at and thinking about, and maybe you want people to contribute ideas about?
Yeah. Well, we've also got the Spa Gardens. So that's nearly a £3 million project, 2.8 million. So Corin Capel is here today, who's the project manager for that. That's a major resource, but again we want to link that into everything else we do in terms of events and access. The boating lake area, unfortunately we haven't got 5, 6, 20 million pounds in my back pocket to do it straight away, but the opportunity there is actually to bid for some real money, say through the Coastal Communities Fund for that, but they want evidence, they want partnership working. So that takes time to build up that detail, which we're naturally working on that. The shared space is complete. That was a Felixstowe Futures project, but there's still a few tweaking things to do on that. We get some feedback on that still. And the business community, I think the launch of the website and how we use that in terms of marketing and helping the town centre. We did put in a Porter's pilot bid, which we weren't successful. We got commended for our efforts and the ideas. But one thing we've learned from that is that the teams that won were much more well established and had access to more money. So that's why we've got the Chamber of Commerce here today, for instance, and making sure those relationships are much stronger so we can work together and tap in. And Suffolk County Council have also pledged to help us with their funding because they have resources in how to get funding. So they're working with us on those sort of bids in the future as well.
When we were doing the research for doing this little piece, one of the things that came up was people were quite impressed with the fact you had managed to get your hands on money, which seems to be quite difficult to do. What do you put that down to, really?
Yeah, it's small at the moment. It's not as big as we'd like, and you have to start off in that way, and because you get the confidence of getting more money in. And it's interesting that certainly in the Porter's pilot bids, the successful projects had an awful lot of other co-funding and partnership funding coming in, and so it's success breeds success. So you have to get to that stage. The pier is a really big opportunity because Stan Treadwell is talking about investing a lot of money. He won't do that unless there's other things going on in Felixstowe, and you start looking down from there down to the Bloor sites. How do we use things better? So car parking, for instance, is a key issue that we need to talk to people on that, especially in the district council. What's needed? Is it in the right place? What are the charges, etc.? It's a revenue funding, but also we can perhaps use some of the car parks better. So all those things are in the mix as well. So it's exciting times, and I'm very proud to be part of it because Felixstowe has an awful lot to offer, and it's had a few knocks over the years. We look regularly at the sort of the empty shops, and they seem to sort of die down a bit, and then you get a burst of new empty shops, and it picks up. I know the business community are struggling, but they survive, and there's some really good independent shops here. So getting that message out to people as well will help the town centre and also help the seafront, and connecting those two together I think is our main role.